specifically, the first question I wanted to ask is about the situation with Victor Conte and the clip that recently resurfaced where Conte admitted that he knows how to pass the VADA tests.
Victor, at the same time, did admit he knows how to beat these tests as good as they are.
Is it possible to circumvent? Yeah, it is. You know, but the same people that know how to circumvent, like myself, the same ones that know how to catch.
One of you guys can go ahead if you want to start.
No.
Us off.
Go ahead. You got it, honey.
The floor is yours.
It's all yours.
Well, thank you, guys. I want to start off by saying that this might piss some people off, but there are certain things that I just can't say just yet. But I am going to say some things that's going to help you kind of understand what's happening. So Conte admits that he knows how to get around drugs, VADA drug testing. So remember before I talked about back in 2010, Conte helped put VADA together with Margaret, with Flip, with Will, with all of these different people. And I'm going to give you something very important to get your brain turning, so you can start to kind of think in the proper way about what is happening and what is probably going to happen. Okay, so think about this. Banned substances have to be discovered. They have to be discovered. They have to be rigorously tested. Then they are classified as prohibited or banned. And after a substance is prohibited, it can take a very long time to refine your testing protocols and to be able to detect the substance in someone's system. So, for example, the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, was established in 1999, and HGH, human growth hormone, wasn't prohibited by WADA until 2004. But the first professional fighter didn't test positive for HGH until around 2014. And that was an MMA fighter named Kong Lee. And he was associated with Snac and Victor Conte. And I saw you guys talked about that in your backward steroid case documentary, which was really good. So the first fighter didn't test positive for HGH until 2014. So it's important to note that we're talking about 10 years from the time that HGH was banned to the time an MMA fighter was actually fought. Well, now, one of the first professional boxers to test positive for HGH was, of course, Jarrell Miller. And he didn't test positive until 2019, I believe. So now you're talking about 15 years from the time HGH was banned to the time a professional boxer tested positive for HGH. And that's just one example of how long it can take for testing protocols to essentially become effective. Just think about that. Look at all of the time from when the substance is banned to later when a fighter tests positive. I mean, even think about even before a substance is banned, like before HGH is actually banned, what do you think is happening? People are using it. So before something becomes banned, people are using it because it's not something that's tested for. And so a person that is highly knowledgeable on biochemistry would really have an advantage. And it's so crazy because even THG was discovered by Dr. Catlin, who was a core member of VADA, and Catlin discovered it, I believe, in 2003. New metabolites are being discovered, like in 2015. You have new metabolites being discovered, and even up until this day, things are being discovered and placed into testing sequences and being worked out. Even to this day, there are always new updates, always so many things changing. So with all of this being said, I want you to understand that with so many loose ends and so many moving parts and so many inconclusive factors, it could be very easy to weaponize drug testing. Because if you're privy to information in terms of biochemistry that others are not, let's say, for example, if you know the flaws of, let's say, VADA, and you know the manning constraints, and you know the financial constraints, and you know the governmental constraints, and if you know the constraints of the WADA accredited labs that they work with, well then you could possibly use that information to your advantage. So there are always new things being discovered. I mean, it's like technology. There are always new advances. There are always new things being discovered. And anyone that sits up here and tries to tell you otherwise, or try to act as if the anti-doping agencies have just everything figured out and there are no new developments, then you should be very weary and very suspicious of that person's intentions, because honestly, I hate to say it, I hate to use profanity, but honestly, it's bullshit.
Oh, hell yeah. You don't have to apologize. Let them have it. That's how you got to talk to them. Hey,
yeah, I mean, I'm just being honest. So Ryan Norman kind of put his foot down and questioned Victor Conte in the Haney's connection to VADA.
Victor Conte with the VADA stuff, right?
Yes. We were talking about it.
Talk about Devin Haney with the Victor Conte, right?
Yeah.
How is it any other testing organization we can somehow get into? Because I don't know if I can even trust them.
Right.
That's how I feel about it.
Right.
But also, since they so tight, who says they won't try to play some little games or whatever and put out some false results and anything like that? How trustworthy are y'all? So is it any other testing organization we can get into besides VADA?
Because they were pressing so hard, you know, the Haneys are pressing so hard, saying, take the test, you know, sign up for VADA, do it now, do it now. So Ryan Norman kind of put his foot down, but if it were me, I wouldn't kind of put my foot down. I would slam my foot down and say, no, I'm not testing through your system because I can't trust your association. I would literally say no, because Conte just admitted that he knows how to beat testing, which could be a serious advantage for his sponsored fighters like Devin Haney. And I would have slammed my foot down a long time ago, honestly, because there's so much, like when you really look into all of this, there's just so many things that, again, I can't really talk about, but even to people looking in from the outside, I mean, it's just so many things. So that was really just to provide some clarity and just to get your mind in the right place so you can start to process what is happening. And I want to go deeper, but I have to leave it there because I just can't interfere with what's going on. And I know that you guys know what I'm saying when I say that I don't want to interfere, but I don't think this is going to turn out well for certain people. I really don't think so. So yeah.
You know, I want to say that your input there was very insightful, and I think it is very important to include the intelligent perspectives of women that are educated on this sport. I know there are a lot of women out there that are connected to boxing that have similar views as us on these very important topics, because they can also see through the BS. So y'all's input will always be valued here because it helps put the pieces together. And especially you specifically, we know you've been involved in the business of boxing for a very long time, and it's definitely good to get your educated input on that.
Oh, well, thank you. I love boxing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Now I want to add on to some of the things you said, and I'm also going to bring a very important piece of information into this conversation. Now, you said you don't think things are going to turn out well for certain people, and you said if you were Norman, you would put your foot down because you can't trust the association between the Haneys, Conte, and the Anti-Doping Agency. And you know, I said the same thing. If it was me, there ain't no way there ain't no way in hell I would agree to go into their testing. Because like I said, me personally, I don't trust anything that comes from the Haney side, because we know things about them that goes back years and years. I mean, it is truly pathetic. Now, I'm gonna briefly tell y'all something very important about the Haneys, Conte, and the business of boxing. A little inside information. I'm gonna tell you what I saw happening. When Victor Conte got out of prison and started pushing his Snac nutrition company, they recruit a big name from what I saw. Obviously, if you own a supplements company or a clothing brand, things like that, you're gonna want a big name. So you had names out there, big names like Mayweather, Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez, but they couldn't catch a big name because the big names were thinking, no, your name is hot. You were convicted for steroid distribution. And somebody like Canelo Alvarez was not about to associate his name and his multi-million-dollar brand with a man that was a part of the biggest steroid drug bust in the history of professional sports. I mean, he just wasn't going to do that. None of the bigger names wanted any part of that. They didn't want to be attached to that. So then you saw Victor Conte coming out, throwing shots at Canelo and throwing underhanded accusations at Canelo. And then over the years, you see several fighters associated with Canelo pop positive. And honestly, I'm going to tell you something. I was told a few years back by two executive directors, and people in boxing know who I'm talking about when I'm talking about executive directors. They sit on certain committees that I trust very much, that they had real reason to believe that Canelo and his people around him were being targeted. Now, do I automatically believe that's true 100%? No, but I damn sure wouldn't rule it out. And from the crazy things I've seen in this business, I'm gonna tell you right now, I wouldn't rule anything out. And let me take a moment to be crystal clear, because I have to be crystal clear with these Haney fans and Crawford fans and Conte supporters. I have to be crystal clear with y'all, because y'all play a lot of games. I'm gonna say something that's gonna reveal the real problem. Let me say this. Is it reasonable for y'all to be suspicious of Canelo and Ryan and anybody that pops positive for a banned substance? Absolutely, it's reasonable to be suspicious of somebody that pops positive. That is reasonable. But don't sit y'all ass up there and act like it is not reasonable to be suspicious of Victor Conte, Devin Haney, Crawford, and all of those other Snac fighters are over there, and all of the questionable things they have going on with the anti-doping agencies and everything else. That is the problem when y'all sit y'all ass up there and act like none of these things can be questioned. Crawford can't be questioned. Devin Haney can't be questioned. Victor Conte can't be questioned. That's the problem when y'all act like there is not reason to be suspicious when these people's past is littered with suspicious things. So that's the problem when y'all sit y'all ass up there and act like nothing can be questioned. Ignore all of these things that are going on with the weight and all of these details that people are finding. Just ignore all of that. You can't even speak on it. And when y'all do that, and when Conte does that, when Devin Haney does that, Crawford does that, and they fans do that, that's why we're going to continue to come out here and drop these damn boulders on top of y'all here, because y'all are full of it. Then y'all want to go around and suing people for their opinions and all that. Hey, be my guest. Go ahead and open it up. Be my guest. Push the button. Push the button. Like somebody's supposed to be afraid of a lawsuit and just be quiet because of y'all think y'all the only people that got attorneys? You better understand what a retainer is. So based on the things that I've seen in this sport, I'm not ruling anything out if it makes sense, because we've already seen crazy things, because you are dealing with very suspicious people. I mean, if you watch the documentary we did called The Backwards Steroid Case, you will see many issues with the Haneys and Conte and why I will never trust anything that they put out. They could say the sky is blue and I would disagree, because they have such a horrible track record. And there's more things business-wise that spans back years that y'all don't even know. So if I was Norman, I would put my foot all the way down. Ryan Garcia and even Canelo. I can't even believe that Canelo agreed to go into their testing wheelhouse, because you've already seen what happened with Devin Haney, who was a sponsored Snac fighter. You saw this very strange situation between Garcia and Devin Haney, where Garcia pops positive after whooping Devin Haney's ass, and you have Devin Haney on multiple occasions gaining 25 to 30 pounds overnight. So you already have the Devin Haney situation. Then you have Claressa Shields. Claressa Shields hadn't had a knockout in 7 years. Then all of a sudden, she's sponsored by Snac, jumps up in weight 2 whole weight classes from 160 pounds all the way up to heavyweight, 175 pounds. Then she immediately explodes and gets a knockout. And she looked shocked herself when she got the knockout. Look at her face. She couldn't damn believe it. She hadn't had a knockout in 7 years. Snac becomes her sponsor. She jumps to heavyweight, then explodes to get only the 3rd stoppage in her entire career. So she joins Snac, jumps up 15 pounds, all of a sudden gets a stoppage. And then you got Crawford, Canelo facing Crawford, another sponsored Snac fighter, in Terence Crawford, who's about to skip all of these weight classes, 3 weight classes, from 147 pounds to 154 pounds, then all the way up to 168 pounds, super middleweight, all of a sudden to fight Canelo with no problem, and now all of a sudden he's huge. I mean, he's huge. The man is looking like the damn Incredible Hulk now. And now they talking about he gonna knock out Canelo Alvarez, who's been at this weight for a long time, who's never been knocked out and never even been knocked down to hit the canvas. And they saying that Crawford is gonna move up and knock him out. So you have all of these examples: Devin Haney, Claressa Shields, Terence Crawford. And like I said in the backward steroid case, and I truly stand on this right here, you have these same people with Snac, Victor Conte. These are the ones that are so quick to jump out, accusing everybody else and pointing fingers at everybody else. But their performances and the details of their careers look more enhanced than the people they are accusing, because they are doing things that the fighters they are accusing are not even doing. Canelo has never been verified by any commission to gain 25 to 30 pounds overnight like a Devin Haney. Canelo did not jump up 3 weight classes in one fell swoop like Terence Crawford. It took Canelo years to gradually and slowly move up into the higher weight classes. Ryan Garcia has not been verified by any commission to gain 25 to 30 pounds overnight, and he has never jumped up 2 and 3 weight classes like these Snac fighters that are so quick to spit on him and to throw dirt on his name. The lead sponsored Snac fighters look more enhanced than the people they are criticizing. That's just my uncut opinion on it. That's the way it looks. I don't give a damn what anybody says. So it appears to many people that there is some types of hidden benefits to being closely associated with Victor Conte. And I believe that somebody has figured out exactly what those benefits are. Time tells us things. Time always tells us things. And back to what I was saying, Snac a big name, but Victor Conte to secure the top tier fighters, the big money fighters, the big name fighters. So they settle for the lower tier names like Devin Haney to kind of be the face of their brands. And obviously they were hoping that Devin Haney was the next Mayweather until Ryan Garcia knocked his ass into the 3rd row. And I know somebody's gonna cry, oh, I can't believe he said Crawford and Haney are lower tier fighters. Listen, don't make me deep fry y'all. Don't make me deep fry Terence Crawford and Devin Haney on them numbers, because I will deep fry y'all. Do not make me embarrass y'all in front of everybody. Just leave it alone. So like I was saying, Snac settle for these lower tier fighters as the face of their brand in terms of financials. And obviously Snac has a vested interest in pushing these guys up to the top. And that's where the real conflict of interest comes in. And that's where this thing really starts to look tricky with the association with VADA and Victor Conte. And he's texting Margaret. I mean, they're cell phone buddies. I mean, what are we doing here? It just makes no sense. So a lot of people, in their eyes, joining Snac comes with a lot of negative perception and a lot of suspicion because of Victor Conte's past. And that's just the truth of the matter. Knowing this, the Haneys joined forces with Snac anyway, and in my opinion, to stave off the criticism that came with being associated with Conte, a convicted steroid supplier, the Haneys would go out accusing other fighters of cheating, and now they're literally going around trying to strong-arm fighters like Brian Norman, Ryan Garcia, and probably any other fighter that would be considered a real threat to them. They're trying to strong-arm them to sign up for VADA. The organization that your supplements provider, a former steroid supplier, helped establish. The Haneys are very suspicious in their conflicts, very suspicious when it comes to what's going on with them and Brian Norman, very suspicious in their conflict with Ryan Garcia. And let's be clear, I will never side with the Haneys because I know their track record behind the scenes. And as for Ryan Garcia, I know Ryan has flaws. You know, I can see why some people have issues with Ryan Garcia. You know, he can be unhinged at times and sabotage himself at times. But honestly, this is how I look at it. Ryan Garcia is in my good graces because, in my view, he did boxing a service by knocking Devin Haney on his ass. Because Ryan Garcia accomplished two things in his conflict with Devin Haney when he beat him from pillar to post at the Barclays Center. He managed to expose Devin Haney inside the ring, and he also inadvertently exposed the Haneys outside the ring, because the whole Osterine debacle ironically brought out all types of information about the Haneys and their questionable past and their suspicious behavior, especially concerning weight and their association with Victor Conte. A lot more people became aware. So Ryan Garcia did boxing a service, and for that, we gonna support him. But one thing about Ryan Garcia is that sometimes he will sabotage himself and let the Haneys win their narrative battle. And this is the type of thing that pisses me off about Ryan Garcia sometimes, because Ryan is great for boxing because he has the fighting style and he got the natural charisma to match. But Ryan sometimes will sabotage himself, and he sometimes lets people get over on him outside the ring. Ryan got to understand, these people are not your friends. The Haneys are not your friend. You cannot trust anything. You cannot be friendly with these guys. You cannot, you need to be watching the water you drink. You need to be watching everything. You need to be watching everything, because I don't trust anything. Nothing. And that's one difference between Gervonta and Ryan. Gervonta don't trust a damn thing. Somebody like Haney, you can't call Gervonta and apologize because he don't want to hear that shit. With Ryan, you could call him and apologize, and Ryan might be like, you know what, don't worry about it, dog, don't worry about it. Ryan got to tighten up because you cannot trust these people. But the Haneys and this drug testing stuff with Victor Conte, I don't trust anything about it. And I have to make a clear distinction here because a lot of people are trying to make comparisons that don't even make any sense. I need everybody to pay attention. There ain't nothing wrong with advocating for clean boxing. Nothing. If fighters want to request testing for their fights, I see nothing wrong with that. The problem with the Haneys is this very thing I'm about to say right here. They are in a very suspicious position. To be clear, Devin Haney is sponsored by Victor Conte, who was convicted for supplying hardcore steroids to dozens of professional athletes. One of Conte's main bragging points was that he knew how to make the steroids undetectable. This same former steroid supplier is also caught on tape talking like he is the CEO of VADA, as he was helping put the Anti-Doping Agency together back in 2010.
So, and it's called VADA, and VADA, VADA, stands for Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency. We've been working on this since September of last year. And we hope to implement in the near future.
Conte is also on camera admitting that he knows how to beat the VADA testing system.
Is it possible to circumvent? Yeah, it is. You know, but the same people that know how to circumvent, like myself, the same ones that know how to catch it.
VADA is the same agency that the Haneys are trying to strong arm people like Brian Norman into testing with. This situation is completely unique to the Haneys. And to clarify even further, this situation between the Haneys and the Normans is disgusting. Just to simplify what happened, I'm going to simplify this for you. Number one, early July, Devin Haney and Brian Norman agreed to fight in November. Number two, Haney and Norman agreed to 8 weeks of VADA testing. Number three, a few weeks passed and the Haneys changed their mind and demand that Brian Norman doubles the amount of testing from 8 weeks to 16 weeks of VADA testing. Number four, Norman agrees again. Number five, the Haneys changed their mind again and demand 18 weeks of VADA testing. This is complete madness and it's disgusting and it does not compare to anything we have seen in the past, so stop making these dumbass comparisons. This is the type of work that the Haneys participate in, and like I say, y'all don't know it, but this type of behavior has been seen from the Haneys behind the scenes for years. Your supplements provider that sponsors you and has a vested interest in your success is a former steroid supplier that admitted he knows how to beat the tests of the drug testing agency you are trying to force your opponents to submit to. This is complete madness. This is a complete conflict of interest. There has never been anything like this. And for the foolish Haney fans that are supporting this type of madness, I should drop an anvil right on top of your head right now about the Haneys. But like I said, I'm trying to leave these guys just a little bit of dignity because I don't even want to be out here doing this. I'm grounded and I'm rooted in my view on the Haneys because my view on the Haneys is strictly based on their behavior pertaining to the business of boxing and the negative effects that they've had on this sport. I don't give a damn about who they are personally. My perspective on the Haneys does not change because I done put their ass in the category they're in after careful consideration and years of repeated behavior in this business. So you won't see me switching sides and changing position because they've shown me time and time again exactly who they are. And that's exactly why I told you many times, I don't believe anything that come out of a Haney mouth. Not a Bill Haney, not a Devin Haney, not a Sean Haney, not a Aunt Haney, not a Uncle Haney, not no damn Haney. Then after all this chaos they done created all these years, they want to parade around and throwing lawsuits at people and suing people for their opinion, suing people for this, suing people for that. I tell you what, and to mess around and sue the wrong people, it's going to be the wrong move. Tell time it'll be a bad move.
That's a bad move.
I don't believe a word they say. And just so you know, it ain't just Bill Haney, it's Devin Haney also, both their asses. I could drop an anvil on your head about Devin Haney behavior behind the scenes as well. I really could. So when Devin Haney sits his ass up there on a stool talking about Boots Ennis didn't want to fight him at 147, trying to paint a picture like Boots ducked him, I can't hear a damn thing Devin Haney says. I can't hear nothing that comes out of his mouth. And he gonna sit his ass up there talking about why would he fight Boots at 152 if he ain't even fought at 147 yet. Yeah, you right. You haven't fought at 147 yet because you've been too busy fighting at 165. With all this damn excessive weight gain you done had going on working with Victor Conte gaining 25, 30 pounds overnight to get an advantage over all your opponents. You shouldn't have a problem fighting at 152 because your oversized ass done already been fighting at 165. So what's the problem?
And I wanted to add something there too about Conte and Devin Haney gaining 25 to 30 pounds overnight, because a lot of people, they're going around saying they're going around saying that it's normal in boxing to gain that much weight, but that's just more misinformation. It's not normal in boxing to gain 25 to 30 pounds overnight because, for example, in 2022, California hosted six times more boxing events than Nevada. You know, they were hosting a lot of events, pro and amateur events, and you're talking dozens and dozens of fighters. Out of that entire year, and after hosting dozens and dozens of fighters, only 10 boxers even came close to rehydrating 25 to 30 pounds. And this is according to the California State Athletic Commission themselves. So that narrative is completely false. So yeah, that's all I wanted to add there. You can go ahead and close us out from there if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and close us out. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And see, this is the type of nonsense that I'm talking about. You know, the Haney fans going around spreading misinformation like it's normal in boxing to gain 25 to 30 pounds overnight in boxing. And we ain't saying it don't happen, but it damn sure ain't normal. Devin Haney has been verified on more than one occasion to gain excessive amounts of weight. Playing all these weight games trying to get an advantage. Then when Ryangarcia knocks your damn jawbone sideways, you want to cry and complain about 3 measly ass pounds that you got paid for and you said didn't even matter out of your own mouth. Crying about 3 pounds when you've been rehydrating 25 pounds, having an advantage on all these smaller opponents. Stop playing. And that's exactly why I said Ryangarcia knocked the snack out of his ass, because that's probably why we saw Devin Haney had stains all on his ass when Ryangarcia hit him with that left hook, because we didn't see any stains until Ryan hit his ass with that hook. It was probably the snack coming right out of him. So yeah, we support Ryangarcia over here because he did boxing a favor when he whacked Devin Haney. That's why it brought me great laughter when Ryangarcia posted that picture of himself holding Devin Haney as a baby. Great laughter. So yeah, we support Garcia over here. He's good over here. And I'll say this last thing. You Haney supporters should be glad because like I said, I could drop an anvil right on top of y'all head now and have y'all all looking like damn fools. And I could take this all the way back to when Devin was fighting on Showbox. Yeah, they know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't, but they do. I could expose even with the promoters. The promoters don't really come out and say nothing, but they know what's going on with these guys. I should do it just to expose all y'all fans because y'all lie just as bad as the Haneys do. But like I say, I'm trying to leave these guys just a little bit of dignity. I do not want to be out here. But you know what? Y'all brought me out here. So you can call me the chef. That's my name to y'all, chef. Because anytime I see fit, I'm going to make a phone call and I'm going to deep fry you. All of you. Because y'all all have a practice of blatantly lying on people just like the Haneys. And for the people that don't know what I'm talking about, go watch our documentary, The Backward Steroid Case. If you want to see how the Haneys and their fans just blatantly lie on people, go watch that documentary. Because they just added another fighter into the lies well without going into the details. Just complete misinformation. So if you want to see some nonsense, if you want to see lies, hypocrisy, and suspicious behavior, go watch The Backward Steroid Case on the Exodus Files channel and see what they did to Ryan and Canelo and these other fighters. If you want to see how the Haneys and Conte operate, go put your attention on The Backward Steroid Case documentary. It's a damn shame.